and welcome back. And this is part 2 of our book, Fortunately the Milk by Neil Gaiman. If you haven't seen part 1, pause this one and go watch the first one and then come back and join us because we were at a cliffhanger where our dad was on the plank, but it seemed like maybe someone was going to save him. So here we go. Quickly, climb up the rope ladder, boomed his voice. And there he is. I needed no more encouragement than this, and I grabbed the rope ladder with both hands. Fortunately, the milk was pushed deep into the pocket of my coat. The pirates hurled insults at me, even discharged pistols, but neither insults nor pistol shot found their targets, and I soon made it to the top of the rope ladder. I had never been in the basket of a hot air balloon before. It was very peaceful up there. The person in the balloon basket said, "I hope you don't mind me helping, but it looked like you were having problems down there." I said, "You're a stegosaurus." "I am an inventor," he said, "and I have invented the thing we are traveling in, which I call Professor Steg's floaty ball person carrier." "I call it a balloon," I said. "Professor Steg's floaty ball person carrier is the original name," he said, "and right now we are 150 million years in the future." "Actually," I said, "we're about 300 years in the past." "Do you like wet, hard, hairy, wet, white crunchers?" he asked. "Coconuts, I guessed." "I named them first," said Professor Steg. He picked up a coconut from a basket and ate it, shell and all, just as you or I might crunch on toast. He showed me his time machine. He was very proud of it. It was a large cardboard box with several pebbles on it and stones stuck to the sides. There was also a large red button. I looked at the stones. "Hang on," I said. "Those are diamonds and sapphires and rubies?" "Actually," he said, "I call them special shiny clear stones, special shiny bluey stones, and special shiny red stones," I suggested. "Indeed," he said. "I called them that when I was inventing my really good moves around time machine 150 million years ago." "Well," I told him, "it was very lucky for me that you turned up when you did and rescued me. I am slightly lost in space and time right now, and I need to get home in order to make sure my children get milk for their breakfast." I showed it to him. "This is the milk, although I expect that 150 million years ago you called it wet, white, drinky stuff." "Dinosaurs are reptiles, sir," said Professor Steg. "We do not go in for milk." "Do you go in for breakfast cereal?" I asked. "Oh, of course," he said. "Dinosaurs love breakfast cereal, especially the kind with nuts in." "What do you have on your cereal?" I asked. "Orange juice mostly, or we just eat it dry, but I shall put this in my book. In the distant future, small mammals put milk on their breakfast cereal. I shall write a wonderful book, and when I return to the present." "Actually," I said, "I think this is definitely the past. It has pirates in it." "It's the future," he said, and there he is. "All the dinosaurs have gone off into the stars, leaving the world to mammals." "I wondered where you all went," I said. "The stars," he told me. "This is where we have all gone." "So," I said, "can you take me home?" "Well," he said, "yes and no." "What does that mean?" "Yes, I would love to take you home. Nothing would make me happier." "No, I cannot take you home. In all honesty, I do not believe that I can take me home. My time machine is at best temperamental. I need some special shiny greeny stone. I have pressed the button many times, but nothing happens." "Button?" I said. "Don't you mean big red flat pressy thing?" I asked. "I most certainly do not. It's a button. I named it after my Aunt Button." "Can I press it?" "If you wish." I pressed the button. The sun shot around the sky, and the sky started to flicker in nights and days, and the balloon began to rock and lurch and zoom and zoom around like an angry fly. I held on to the ropes as hard as I could. Fortunately, I was still keeping tight hold of the milk in my right hand. When we stopped being blown across the sky, it was night, and according to Professor Steg, we have only gone back about 1,000 years. The moon was nearly full. "I'm even further from my children and our breakfast," I said. "You have your milk," he said. "Where there is milk, there is hope." "Ah, over there. That looks like a perfect landing platform for time-traveling scientists in floaty ball person carrier." We landed on the platform and got out. The platform was stuck up out of the jungle and had flaming torches on each side. There were people standing on it with very black hair and sharp stone knives. Is this the balloon landing platform? I asked the people. It is not, said a fat man. It is our temple. And we had a very bad harvest last year, and we just asked the gods to send us a sacrifice to make sure that this year's harvest is better. When you floated down in that thing with your monster. And there they are, 1,000 years ago. Thank you, by the way, said a little thin man. I was going to be the sacrifice if no one else turned up. Much obliged. So now we will sacrifice you and your monster. But my children are waiting for their breakfast, he said. Look, I held up the milk. Why did they all just fall into their knees? Asked Professor Stagg. Is this usual hairless mammal behavior? Perhaps I should hold up some hard, wet, hairy, wet crunchers and see what happens. Coconuts, I told him. They're called coconuts. What is that you're holding? The fat man asked. Milk, I said. Milk, they exclaimed, and they prostrated themselves on the ground. We have had a prophecy, said the fat man, that when a man and a shiny-backed monster descended from the skies in a floaty round thing, a floaty ball person carrier, said the little thin man. Yes, one of those. We were told that when that happened, if the man held up milk, then we were not to sacrifice them, but we were meant to take them up to the volcano and give them, as a present, a green jewel that is the eye of Splod. Splod? He is the god of people with short, funny names. It is, I said, a remarkably specific sort of prophecy. When did you receive it? Last Wednesday, said the fat man proudly. The priest of Splod was woken up in the night by a voice whispering from the heavens, and when he went to look and see who it was, there was nobody there. Also, he was sleeping on top of the temple, and nobody else could have been up there with him, so it must have either been Splod himself talking, or one of his angelic messengers. We walked together down the jungle path. Professor Stagg carried the rope in his mouth that led up to the balloon, and he dragged the balloon along, and after half an hour we reached the volcano. It was not a very big volcano. There were wisps of smoke coming from the top of it. On the side of the volcano, there was a carving of a big, scary face with one eye in the middle of its forehead. The eye was the biggest emerald I had ever seen. A special shiny greeny stone, said Professor Stagg, with his mouth full of rope. The fat man clambered up the side of the volcano. It is a good thing that Splod himself told us to give you the eye of Splod, said the little thin man, who has narrowly avoided being sacrificed, because there's another prophecy that if the eye of Splod is ever removed, great Splod will awaken and spread burning destruction across the land. Here you go, said the fat man. He handed us the emerald. Professor Stagg nipped up the rope ladder into the balloon's gondola and began to install the emerald in the time machine. Hang on. He was a stegosaurus? Yes. Then how could he just nip up the rope ladder? He was, said my father, a large stegosaurus, but very light on his feet. There are fat people who are excellent dancers. Are there any ponies in this? Asked my sister. I thought there would be ponies by now. And look, that's the pony she wants to see. I was standing on the ground holding onto the rope ladder when the ground shook and the very small volcano began to belch smoke and lava. Splod is angry, shouted the little thin man. He wants his eye back. There was rushing wind, and the balloon jerked me up in the air, high above the splurting lava. Unfortunately, I dropped the milk. I wasn't holding onto it tightly enough. It landed on top of Splod's head. Professor Stagg hauled the rope ladder with his tail. I've lost the milk, I told him. That's not good, he admitted, but I know where it is. It's on top of Splod's head, on the side of the volcano. Professor Stagg said, Good Splod, what on earth is that? And before our eyes, another balloon, just like ours, appeared over the volcano. Ooh, and there's the volcano and the milk heading for it. A man hurried down the rope ladder. He placed a large emerald in Splod's eye, picked up the milk from Splod's head, ran up the ladder, and the balloon vanished. The very small volcano stopped erupting as suddenly as it had been turned off. That was a bit particular, wasn't it? Said the professor. It was, I agreed, gloom and despair and despondency overcoming me. That man in the balloon stole my milk. We are lost in the past with jungles and pirates and volcanoes. Now I will never get home. My children will never have breakfast. We are doomed to float forever through the dusty air of the past in the hot air balloon. It is not a balloon, said Professor Stagg. It is a floaty ball person carrier. What nonsense do you talk? Now I think that should do the trick. He finished attaching the emerald to the box, using the string mostly and also sticky tape, and he pushed the red button. Where are we going? I asked. It seemed like the sun was zooming across the sky, as if nights were following days in a flickering strobe. And at that, we are going to pause and read further in part 3. I hope you enjoyed that one. I wonder where they're going in time. You'll have to click on our next video to see.